Kubor ka Batisi TV. Lawan Rashapi da ka Frank Motors. I am Tata Punch. Price starting at 5.80 lakhs. Ringkat bat ka net foodish. Ordar mapi nginwan ra amangi hakir dobyeng jongpi.
Menteri Rang Baka Jelau Konrad Kongkal Sangma ula ong baka Sorkar kan sakhat ban pan Jingshai nagi he pulit jong ka tactical team 1 ba kin penshai helor ka Jingshai Siat yam jong general secretary barem ka channel C ba Cheris the field thank you ula ong baka Sorkar kan hab ban sngap Shuwa naki pulit ayu kidan ban ong bat hadian kata kan sale ya ka dan kam halor ka jing pendam no ya ka kerteng jong ki pulit ki badan kri ban nek khandra bat ban siat ya uba che Konrad ula ong balale kat kum ka jing batha jong ka commission ka balale ya ka jing toket.
This was a complete independent inquiry that was done, and as was committed from the government side, we have laid the report completely in a very transparent manner on the table of the House, so that all the facts can come out. And therefore, this inquiry also was conducted and done on the basis of the concerns and also the wish of the public in general. And therefore it was done. So now that the report is out, we have laid it out and all the facts are there in it for everybody to see. 5 of the report. The report itself has mentioned that the details of multiple investigations contained sensitive information regarding the manner and mode of investigation and crime detection, which was still ongoing, and disclosure thereof is likely to prejudice such investigation and was contrary to public interest. That's the first observation that was made. And the second was that statements were also being made on behalf of the police officers involved in the police action, and disclosure of the names of these officers could seriously endanger their personal safety. So therefore, the Commission itself has recommended in their report that these names should not be made public in the interest of the safety of the police, number one, and number two, also because there are ongoing investigations that are there, and sensitive names of people who provided sensitive information based on which the entire investigation took shape and moved forward. Those names were there, and hence it would hamper the overall investigation in the larger overall interest of the public that those names be not made public. And this was a recommendation of the Commission itself, and hence based on that recommendation and mention, we have omitted the names. The investigations are still going on. Even as we speak right now, the investigations on the different extortions, different areas of the extortion notes and other concerns, all of these investigations are still going on. So all of these are very relevant. First of all, I think it's important to understand the entire scenario that was unfolding in front of the police and the state as a whole. And we had seen in the last few months preceding the incident that took place on August 13th, that there were large extortion notes being sent to, a lot of individuals, business people. There are mentions about life threats being given to people, saying that if they don't pay up, they will be, killing them as well as their family members. And so a lot of threats were taking place. Apart from that, numerous IED blasts took place throughout the state, which really was endangering a lot of people. And in the findings of this commission also, as well as the investigations conducted by the police, clearly reflected the involvement directly of the individual concerned. There was an imminent threat of another IED blast, which would take place in 24 to 48 hours in the city on the night when they started discussing this matter. And therefore the urgency was there to ensure that in the larger interest of keeping the people safe, the police had to move and had to act. because if they had not acted, maybe another IED blast would have gone off. We don't know, maybe in Police Bazaar or Bara Bazaar, one of the very high dense locations. Of course, the Commission has made a lot of observations regarding the process and the way it was done, and they suggested that it could have been a different way. So definitely we have called for an explanation, and all the individuals involved here will be called for explanation. And accordingly, once we hear the other side of the story also, based on that, we will proceed further. As I said, you see, these kind of operations, one has to understand, are made under a lot of pressure. There is a time pressure, there's a pressure of worry that maybe the bomb has already been planted somewhere. There's a pressure of, the fact that what else could happen. So you are working under tremendous pressure with time very limited and not knowing what's going to happen next. These situations must be taken into consideration while this happened. So yes, you're right. So they are trained well to do all these kind of things. They planned it well. But as I said, it's not always that, in situations like these, everything will go as planned and, as they desire. But as I said, the situation happened, and based on that, we have come out with this. And now we have to give a hearing, and explanation will be called from the officials who are involved in this, especially of the Tactical Team 1. And based on that, we will proceed further. All the witnesses that they had intel that it's only the family who's staying inside. So there was nothing wrong in the intel, because that's what ultimately happened. So one cannot say that it was a wrong intel, because the intel said that there are no other people except the family. But in these situations, as I said, one doesn't know what kind of surprises may come up. So hence the factor that there could be others was something that was kept as a point and was mentioned again and again in the report, that almost every point in time they said we need to catch them safe, we need to arrest him, and multiple times they mentioned that we had the intel that there was only the family, but we also gave a warning that there could be somebody else, and it has to be, obviously, because say suppose somebody was inside, then it would be mentioned that, well, there was intel failure by the government, that they didn't know, by the department, that why didn't they know somebody was not there. So the intel said that nobody was there except the family, and that's what happened also. But as a precaution, this line was mentioned to everybody that be careful, that there could be somebody else. So it's very clear in the report. Large decrease in it. There was in few instances, and now that we are in discussion and talks with others, so these points also discussed, but it has come down drastically. And but there was some instances, we'll not deny that, there were some instances, but much lesser compared to what it was before. It's a recommendation that's been put in, and definitely these recommendations, all the recommendations that have been put in by the Commission are very, very positive in nature, and definitely it will only lead to improvement of the police service at large, and we will definitely look into all of these suggestions. I said, please, you have to understand from the entire larger perspective that in this entire process of moving forward, the main purpose of the police and the way the police personnel work was only to ensure that the innocent lives, in the sense the public, should be safe from the IED blast that was an imminent threat, which was going to happen in 24 hours to 48 hours. And that is what led to this entire situation. And of course, the incident happened. But the larger point in the picture will always be that there was a public safety that led to these kind of discussions. I mean, these kinds of operations, and as I said, the other situations. It's an entire process, and of course, as we speak, I was mentioning to you, you asked me that some instances of extortion notes are still there, and these are all connected. So therefore, one has to keep all the secrets intact and the sources intact, and if there's any danger in the sense that giving out the names would endanger the overall investigation, then obviously it will hamper the entire investigation process. So one cannot say it will be over by today, tomorrow, day after. It's a process, but definitely it's continuing, and and as I said, we have made a large step forward in ensuring that this is controlled. And of course, the talks also are something that is leading to a positive outcome.
Police is
Noticed they had mentioned that normally in an in-house kind of operation like this, normally night vision glasses are not used. It's mostly used in forest operations and in larger areas. So in an in-house operation, it's not always advisable to have the night vision devices, NVDs. So this has been mentioned out there. So it's a situation that obviously will have multiple angles to it. But as said, it's a suggestion and definitely something that will improve things. So we will definitely go into it and take these suggestions. But as I said, there was a time frame that we were looking at, and action had to be taken in the sense that some steps had to be taken. In the next 24 hours, 48 hours, and that's what led to this movement taking place in that short period of time. But all the suggestions that have been mentioned out there, definitely we're going to take it in the positive. That what we'll be doing is that this is the report of the commission, and obviously we had to wait to lay it on the table of the House. Now that it's been laid on the table of the House, we will be calling all the tactical one team has been asked to come and give an explanation. So now they have to be also given the chance to be heard from the government side on after this report. As you have read from this report also, that this report are recommendations and they don't suggest for actions as such. So therefore now the government has to take the appropriate action. So hence, as a process of obviously have a natural justice, based on this report and the findings of this report, an explanation will be called from the officers, and based on that we will proceed further. See, we'll have to see all those aspects of things. This is something we'll have to figure out in the sense after we call for explanation and everything. But we also have to remember that, which I'm repeating again, is that the person involved, evidences were there that the 4 IED blasts that took place, he was involved in those IED blasts, where 2-3 people got seriously injured. The next IED blast that was going to take place, also he was involved in it, where it was going to be in a large public gathering. As I said, police had taken this step and moved forward to prevent that blast. And this was being done in the larger interest of, the safety of the people. So I think one has to see that angle also of this entire process, that the police was looking at your safety, at our safety, my safety, and the safety of the common citizen. And they had a 24-hour to 48-hour window in order to move forward and take some steps on how they could ensure that this would not happen. And maybe innocent lives would have been lost if the bomb had gone off. And in that process, the steps were taken and certain outcomes came out. So these circumstances cannot be ignored, is what I'm trying to say.
Since 2014, our country has been plagued by divisive forces. TMC is in Meghalaya with the mission to empower the people, uphold the ethnic cultures and traditions, celebrate the sacred land. To oust the proxy BJP government from Meghalaya, be the change, support TMC by calling on 96877 96877.